Hello everyone, and welcome to Django Level 2. Now that you've reached Level 2, let's quickly review the previous topics from Django Level 1. Those topics were setting up projects and applications, creating views and mapping URLs to those views, using simple templates and tags, and then serving static media files. In this lecture, we will do a run-through of the workflow aspects we've learned about so far to get a quick review on all those topics. And we're going to be using the two project folders from Django Level 1 for Django Level 2. If you accidentally deleted those folders or don't have them anymore, you can always get them from the downloaded notes. Okay, in Level 2 we will begin to discuss models and databases and how to use them with Django. And we're also going to be discussing how to use the admin interface. Before we do that though, let's get started with a quick overview of Django Level 1, and then in the next lecture we'll get started with the Django Level 2 topics. I'm going to hop over to the editor now. Alright, here I am at the editor. I have a new folder called Django Lectures that I've been working with before. And basically what we're going to do here is just do a very quick run through of all the topics we did in Django Level 1. Won't be doing a whole lot of explanation, just kind of a general run through of the workflow you should be used to by now. So first things first, we want to start a project. So I will say Django admin, call start project, and then name the actual project. I'm going to be using the same names we used in Django Level 1. Feel free to change them. But here, I'll just call it, like we did in Django Level 1, first project. So I say Django admin, start project, first project, and then I get a new folder here with first project, the project folder, settings, URLs, and then manage.py. Great. Now the next thing we have to do is actually create the application. To do that, I'm going to cd into that first project file, and then I will call Python, call the manage.py file, and then off of that I will call start app, and I'll call my first application first app, just like we did in Django Level 1. Again, you can change the name, and here we have first app. Great. And then what I'm going to be doing is messing around with the views.py file, the urls.py file in first project, and then also I need to create a urls.py file for first app, and then we'll also do some template folders, etc. But let's continue on. Let's create a view. So I will open up views.py, and I have from Django.shortcuts import render. And we initially started with the HTTP response view, but we'll use render here. And I will call def, and we'll just do an index view. So at the request, and let's put a dictionary here so we can also practice those template tags. I'll say my dictionary, and then we'll say insert content, or whatever you want to call it, and then say, hello, I'm from first app. And then we will call return render, and into the render function I'll pass in that request, and then I'm also going to pass in the first underscore app slash index.html, and we'll need to set that up. And then I'll also call the actual context to be equal to that context dictionary, which was that my dictionary file. So we'll save that. And the next things I have to do is set up the actual index.html file and then set up the URL mappings. We'll do the double URL mappings, basically create a URL mapping call in first project to go to the urls.py file inside first app. So I'll say a new file inside first app, call it urls.py, and then I'm going to say from Django.configuration or conf URLs import the URL function. And then I will say from first underscore app import views. So that views.py file. I'll create a list called URL patterns. And then inside of this list, I'm going to have the URL function call, and I'll use regular expressions just to indicate that this is essentially at the index. And then we'll say views.index. So I actually call that index, and then we'll say name is equal to index. So remember this views.index right here, that's just, if I go to views.py, that's this function call right here. Okay, so I have the urls.py working inside of my application, but then I need to fix my first project urls.py to make sure that's going to call it correctly. So let's scroll all the way down here, and right now I have the basic admin, but I'm going to add to this, and I want to do it with the include function that we learned about. So I import that from Django.configuration.urls. So I will say just comma include, and then over here I'm going to add in, we'll say URL, and I can even do something like first_app to take care of those file paths. Really, you can kind of play around with this. And then we'll say include, and I will say first_app.urls. So let's save that, and then let's also just add in the view for the actual index page. So we'll say R, and then I will say regular expression, those caret signs, and let's add in the single quote there, so that's all wrapped. I'll call views.index, and then say name index. So that's kind of just showing what we did last time here. Let's put a comma there, save this. And what's nice about this is if you ever feel forgetful about these different methods here that I'm showing, you can just scroll up, and the Django, the default urls.py file, actually has the instructions. So it tells you how to do the function view, which we kind of just showed. This views.home, name is equal to home. That was the very first example here for the main index page. Class-based views, we're going to talk about that later on. But then we also have the URL configuration, which we just showed here with that include function. So anything with the first app goes to the first app.urls. And then next what we want to do is set up those template files. So I'm going to create a new file under first project. So we'll say new file. We will call it templates. And oh, whoops, I meant folder. My apologies here. Move that to trash. Create a new folder called templates. Hit enter. And then inside of this, create another folder that shares your application name. In my case, we'll keep the application name the same to be first app. So I expand templates, I expand first app, that way I can start finding it. And inside of this, I'm going to create that actual index.html. So I will say new file here, index.html. And there's my index.html file. And we can also link it to CSS or those static images that we showed from Django level 1. So let's walk through those very basic examples. I'm going to start typing HTML. We'll say hello for the title, and then I'm going to leave this, and inside the body I'll put a heading 1 that says hello, this is a test page. And then let's actually show how we can import some stuff. And since it's just text, what I'm going to do is say inside of this, we'll put it inside heading 2, create those template tags, and then call whatever the actual key was. So if I come back to views, it was insert content. So I'll come back here and then just put in insert content, save it. It's nice that Adam is helping me out there as well. And then the last thing we need to do to make sure this all actually works is we need to fix the settings file, or not fix, but add to the settings file so we have all the directories. So that way I know where my templates are. And we also created static directories earlier, but we won't show how to do the static file since it's almost the same as the template files. So we'll say it's going to be the base directory, and then we'll say template, since that's the name of our templates folder. Okay, save that. That looks good. And then let's scroll down and make sure it's in the actual dir's key. So if we scroll all the way down, here we have dir's. Let's say templates, dir, comma, save. Okay, so now let's test this all out by actually saying python manage.py run server. So let's make sure this is saved. Come over here, say python manage.py run server. Hit enter, and we might get those errors on the migrations. It says views is not defined. Let's make sure everything's okay. Okay, that error actually makes sense because we forgot to just import over here in urls.py. So I come to urls.py and I should have imported this. So I will say from first app import views. Save that. And now let's try again. It's performing a system check. What's nice is it kind of automatically keeps trying. Let's copy and paste this into our browser and make sure it works. I'm going to then bring my browser over. And there it is. It says, hello, this is a test page. Hello, I'm from first app. Great. Looks like it's all working. And what you will also notice is because we didn't actually change any of the content here, I also say, if I say slash first app and I hit enter, I get the same result. Hello, this is test page. Hello, I'm from first app. But the basic way it still is working the same. I was able to successfully connect first app and the index page to the first app.urls. And what's basically the only view in that is this index request. Okay, hopefully that was pretty good for you as a review, and you have a full understanding of everything we just did. And I wouldn't expect you to kind of zoom through it just like we did right now, but hopefully you understand all the steps that we did. And you can see that even with myself running through it this fast, I kind of slipped up on that forgetting to import views.py, but other than that, it should be kind of straightforward as far as your workflow. The very next chunk of all of this is to actually connect models and databases and then check out the admin. All right, thanks everyone, and I'll see you at the next lecture.